try a weekly controversial music pick. And I might trim down the name and kind of come up with something catchy for it. But we're going to pick one song during every Wednesday show, and we're going to announce it and make sure that you know that it's not safe for work. And it'll have some themes or some language or something that makes it kind of controversial for some people. And we'll see how that goes. And if you have words you want to say about it, if you want to tell us you liked it and you like that direction, or you want to tell us it's crap and we should feel bad for ourselves, we probably won't unless you're really, really, really mean, in which case I'm going to probably cry in a corner. But I probably won't do that. I'll probably cry in my coffee. But yeah, you'll have to let us know if you like it or the songs or whatnot.
Yes.
So that's an idea.
Yes, and also real plug-in with Midday Music Break. We are trying to do a 30-song countdown. If you guys go and request a song from our webpage, go to the playlist, and you'll see like 3 different categories: Canada, International, and United States. Pick a band, request a song, and more songs get requested. That's where the countdown comes from. So we want to start doing a 30 countdown most requested songs of independent musicians. That's a new thing. Cool? Rock on. All right. So let's get to the topic, shall we? Show cancellations or bans are a no-show. How do you guys feel about that? Now, since I wasn't too sure how people were going to react to the show, I went on my Facebook and our Facebook group and asked these questions. And I'll go ahead and let Spider tell his story, and I'll go into my Facebook and get what people's comments were.
Okay, well, having been in a regular live band for quite a while, it's always a tough decision usually to either pull off a show or cancel the show entirely if you're a musician. Most of the time, it's really tough to consider both the fact that you really wanted to play the show and that the fans wanted to see the show, and the impact can run really, really deep. People can remember that, especially if it happens more than once, which is why I'm really super glad that so many people along the road have been able to help Maximus on their current tour.
Oh my God, yes.
Because anybody who's been following along with them knows that their band van has just given them fits this whole tour, and they have almost had to pull the whole plug multiple times, and due to fans and friends and people on the way just being really, really good people, they've kept it moving. Tour's almost over, so if you haven't seen them yet, go ahead and take a look. But yeah, it's especially for a band like that who's, this is a big, big deal for them. It's a big tour. They're breaking out, they're making some waves, and having to cancel something like that when you're halfway in or 3/4 in really kind of sets a bad taste in people's mouths, whether you meant it to happen or not. And you can't really control that most of the time. No matter how much you tell people, hey, sorry, we'll make it up for you next time, they're still going to be like, well, you know what? We wanted to see it this time. Right. And so you're kind of like, and you don't know what to do about the whole thing. Now, me personally, several years back, this was before I lived this deep into the heartland of Ohio, amongst the corn and such. But I had a ticket to see Jane's Addiction and Marilyn Manson on tour, and I was pretty excited. I still have never seen Marilyn Manson. That was the one time I was going to get the chance, and I didn't get the chance. At Jane's Addiction, I'm not going to say that they're not a good group. I've never been a huge fan, but they had a couple songs I would listen to, and I'd be all right with that. But what happened was there was probably 10 to 12 dates of this tour that were leading from passing through the northeast of the country, headed up to a New Year's Eve show at Madison Square Garden, something like that. And they canceled all those dates, like about 10 to 12 dates, except for the New Year's Eve show. And they canceled them Jane's Addiction officially were the ones that canceled. They canceled due to, quote, a exhaustion from a rigorous touring schedule, which means they were tired. Which, okay, I can understand. I don't know how many shows they'd had up to that point, so maybe they were just exhausted and they needed a break. I mean, that's a lot of shows to cancel, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But, I thought, okay, whatever. But Marilyn Manson, who really didn't have to canceled too. So that whole leg of the tour was just swept right off the board. I didn't get to see anybody. They later on went on to New Year's Eve and played just fine, and it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. It was like, I know if you're just not feeling it and just really, really like doing bad as far as exhaustion and stuff goes, you have to take a break. But that's a lot of shows to take off prior to what's obviously one of the highlight shows of the tour. So, I mean, obviously that was the show that was really important to them, so they're going to be ready for that. But to have one of the bands that doesn't really need to take all that time off still take the time off anyway, it was kind of unsettling. And I've never had the opportunity to see him again since. It's just every time he's come through, I've never had the time or the cash available or something. So it's just never worked out. But I feel like that it would have been one of the highlights of my viewing experience, and it just wasn't there because one of the bands on the bill was tired. So
wow.
And it seems like when I say it like that, because that's what it comes off as to me, it sounds like they were tired. And in the chat room, I see, I have to agree with part of that. For the last several years, everybody has told me, well, Marilyn Manson's pretty wiped out at this point as far as live shows. You're really not missing out. And it's like, I probably might have been disappointed if I'd have gone, because maybe he was tired too. And if he's tired, he's pretty much a washout. Because I've seen some video, and dude gets tired, and dude's pretty much done. But I still would have liked to have seen him. And to say I did. And it just strikes me as the fact that there was really no notice and no options given. The shows weren't rescheduled. If you could get a refund from Ticketmaster or Live Nation, or probably Ticketmaster, I think, at the time. But yeah, it was. I can understand when a band's just my drummer broke his hand, or this happened. Okay, that makes sense. Our van broke down. We can't even get to the next town. Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But we're tired, so we're going to take off 10 to 12 shows.
Yeah. That's not cool.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, really, guys? Okay. But that's my personal story. That's my big story of just like, okay. And it can definitely be disappointing. And I don't know if maybe they felt bad about it on their end. Maybe they were just so out of it and they were like, it's going to be a terrible set of shows if we go and perform. It's better this way. And, maybe I haven't talked to those guys directly, so I don't know. But I like to hope that they thought that they're like, oh, well, we'll catch them on the next tour. But maybe they're just like, whatever.
Right.
Rock stars.
Yeah, I mean, with Super Geek League, we are a band, and we go to these raves, and we perform on stage. And so we have two different ways of performing. So you guys get more of an idea with SGL or Super Geek League. Okay, so SGL, we used to is a key word, used to be part of Freak Night with USC here in Seattle and Tacoma. And when these kids go into the rave, it wasn't us SGL's or anybody else's fault. It was WAMU's thing. So first thing first. When these kids go to these raves, they want to not drink water, or they want to take all these different drugs. And so Freak Night is one of the biggest, most expensive shows in the Pacific Northwest. It's a rave. Okay, it was ravers. You guys don't know what raves are. There's loud music, DJs play, got tons of lights going on. People are dancing wall to wall, and you're having a good time. And half the kids go in, they're butt ass naked anyway, with a little loincloth, whatever. But the thing is, our second show on Freak Night, there's 2 shows. There's one show when the show opens up, and then it's booming and great and whatever. And then there's the second night where it's the exact same thing, but different DJs line up and all that stuff. We all change things to be different. Well, the second night on Freak Night was like maybe a year or so ago. Show was canceled due to a kid that OD'd on drugs at that event. And so no one was telling anybody anything. No one was telling the crowd outside what was going on. We was told it was pushed back because of sprinklers, or a DJ was doing this, or something hokey in that kind of a feedback. So as performers, we had no clue what was going on. We were performing, we were in a band. We were just performing on stage, giving more of a performance on stage with the DJs. So we, as a group, we felt bad. Some of us went outside in the freezing cold. These kids it's October here in Halloween, October here in Seattle, and anyone knows, lives here in Seattle, kids are half naked, are not wearing anything, and they're bored and they're cold, and they need some entertainment. So some of us went out there and pre-performed. We had fun, we joked around, we said, well, we're going to be in a few moments, blah, blah, blah. And we were doing the performer's job, going out there and meet and greet and all that stuff. But turns out later on that the show was canceled. Because due to a young kid getting kill themselves over this stupid drug they had to take. And we do have lots of security inside all these raves, but somehow these kids seems to bring it inside. Why? Don't know. And we do care. We try. I mean, there was times I was at Paradiso a few years back, and there's kids right in front of me. Hey, do you want to do a line? No. Thank you, but no. And that is another way of knowing. And plus, kids were ticked off. Yes, they did get their money refund from the second show. And, of course, us performers and DJs, we were actually locked down in WAMU for about an hour or so because we didn't know how the crowd was going to handle being out there in the freezing cold, waiting to get inside. They're half naked because they're not allowed to bring coats and jackets or whatnot into the venue. So they pack themselves down, leave everything in the car to get into the venue fast enough to warm up. That's the reason why they're half naked. But anyway, since they did not get in, they're freezing. They've been out there for hours waiting for them to go inside. The show was canceled. We had no clue what they're going to react when they see us performers going out there wearing SGL t-shirts or whatever. So we were basically stuck in WAMU for about 2-3 hours waiting for the crowd to go down because kids are trying to come in and see the show regardless of anything. But, it happens. So, of course, that's the last time we actually performed at WAMU with USC. They're all down here in Tacoma. But, yeah, that's another a tidbit on shows, not just bands, shows canceling in my experience on that.
Things like that, too. I mean, people are going to do what they're going to do. I mean, they're going to get whatever they want to get into the venue. I mean, you can be as strict as you want, but somebody's going to get something in, and you can't control what people are going to do. I mean, some people are going to get in, they're going to be cool, they're not going to do nothing, they're going to keep it to themselves, and, however people feel about substance use, they're not going to hurt nobody, and they're not going to do anything, so that's great. But, the people that do, sure, I mean, you can look at it as ruining it for everybody else, or you can just look at it as, well, they should have known better, and they were out of control, and, why ruin it for everybody? Everybody else should still be able to get their time, just escort the person out.
Right.
But there's venues that are just over the top, like super ridiculously strict about that kind of stuff, and they're like, nope, nope, we don't want anything at all, no matter what. If anything happens, you're all out, because that's just how it is.